January 1st, you all celebrated the destruction of all your currency and the adoption of the euro. In 1999, Bill Gates became the richest man on earth. Also in 1999, Apple introduced the Power Mac G4. I wish they would bring that form back. It's just so wonderfully retro. I like it. What else did we have? Oh yeah, Bill Clinton didn't get impeached. We had Phantom Menace released. Napster came about. DeForest Kelley died, which is sad. I met him when I was about 12 years old, and we were both at SeaWorld in California. And I actually said hello to him, and he said hello back to me, so therefore, officially, I have met him. But of course, most important of all, 1999 saw the first episode of SpongeBob SquarePants, upon which I will base the rest of this talk. No. But it does lead quite nicely into the next slide. How were we developing software back then? Well, one way we were developing software is we were drawing pretty pictures. We were using the Unified Modeling Language, UML, to draw pictures of our classes and of our interactions and everything else. In fact, UML is probably responsible for the destruction of object-oriented programming because its total focus on classes and not objects has corrupted an entire generation of programmers. But, I mean, it does lead to some really nice, pretty diagrams that are terribly useful, things like this. There will be a test afterwards. And then as well as our UML, we may well have been developing our software using the Rational Unified Process, RUP. That's as opposed to the Irrational Unified Process. I don't know, maybe there was one. Not necessarily a bad process, but badly applied most of the time. But that was kind of like what was around. However, the reality was very, very different. 99% of software projects look like this. Valiant people manning the barricades, do or die, mostly die, chaos, smoke, gunfire, death. That was your average software project. And clearly that's not sustainable. It's fun, and you get to wear cool uniforms, but it's not sustainable. So, roughly the same kind of time, there was kind of like a counter, it's not a movement, just a whole bunch of people weren't very happy with the way things were going. Now, the chronology of this is not quite right, but people were thinking these thoughts, definitely in the 90s, late 90s. So Kent Beck was experimenting with extreme programming. And he was, at that point, probably still working on the Chrysler C project, the whatever. And he and Ward Cunningham, Ron Jeffries were all experimenting with XP and how you can push a team to focus on just the important things. Jim Highsmith was looking at his own adaptive software development techniques. Andy Hunt and I were looking at pragmatic programming, not really a methodology, but just more common sense. Scrum's been around since the mid-'80s, but being used in software more and more by then. And of course, we have Alistair Coburn, who was pushing the crystal clear ideas around about this time. So we had all of these different ideas, all focused on, how can we cut down on all of the bullshit, basically, and just focus on writing software. And most of the people involved in this attended OOPSLA, Object-Oriented Software, I can't remember what it stands for now, programming, whatever, right? And we all sort of sat there and chatted and bemoaned the state of the world, as people are tending to do. And the idea came up, hey, we should probably get together and bemoan this in private. So a meeting in Snowbird, Utah was arranged, and the industry that sprung up around that manifesto wanted to sell you things. This is where the cynical part starts, by the way. All right? They wanted to sell you things, and therefore they needed to convert agile from an adjective into a noun, and they succeeded very, very quickly. And so we have this thing, and now they can sell you. They can sell you training and consultancy and books. Speak to me. Because agile has all these new words. Scrum, Kanban, right? Spikes, all of these kind of things that people have not heard. And then last, but by no means least, cool sells. And this is where we take a large part of the blame. Because as developers, and to some extent as managers in the industry, we are drawn to bright, shiny new things. Right? I mean, you have to look at the success of JavaScript libraries to know that. So because of all these things, I feel quite strongly that the concept agile as a noun has just become an industry. It's a machine that attacks us on the basis of fear and asks us to pay money to assuage that fear. There's a wonderful example of that is the Scrum Study organization. I was actually just sitting on my browser one day, and you know how the little Google ads pop up in the sidebar, and this popped up. The world is adopting Scrum. Are you? Stop thinking and get certified today. Kind of sums up what I'm thinking, yeah. So, I believe it is time to reclaim agility. Because I still profoundly believe in the values of agility. So let me give you a version of agility that you can take away. It fits on one slide. This is what I think agility is. 3 steps plus a loop, right? The 3 steps are, first of all, understand where you are. The second step is take a small step towards where you want to be. And at the end of that step, evaluate what happened. That's all there is to it. And then repeat. Now, I say that's all there is to it. That's not easy because you apply this fractally to everything you do, from the naming of variables to deciding where you're going to deploy, right? It's all